So I've been told that SunStar fridges are some of the most efficient off-grid appliances on the market. Today we have the all-new 10 cubic foot fridge that we've just unboxed. It's brand new, it's never been used, and we have Kiefer here with us today to answer some questions and see what all the fuss is about. So Kiefer, my first question for you is, what makes this the best fridge for off-grid living, and what makes it stand out from its competitors?
So over the past few years, we've dealt with other brands and other companies for DC refrigerators, but SunStar takes the cake. Out of all that we've dealt with, SunStar always has the best reviews and best customer feedback. What makes them so different is that SunStar is entirely made in the US. They're located in Indiana. They're actually produced by a Amish community, and they have highly efficient compressors. Not only that, but there's not all these additional components. Once you add in all these additional components or extra parts, there's a lot more things that could go wrong. If something is wrong with your SunStar refrigerator, of course that's going to be very rare, but it's going to be a very easy problem to fix.
So what are some of the reasons that one would want to use a 12 volt DC fridge over a 120 volt AC fridge?
So one of the main benefits to a DC refrigerator is that you can hook it directly to a battery bank. A lot of our customers that we deal with are entirely off-grid and don't want to have to run an inverter. So for that reason, they'll just hook it directly to a 12 or 24 volt battery bank. As soon as you're connected to that battery bank, the compressor on this fridge is going to start running. Keep in mind it has both compressors, one in the freezer and one in the fridge. So both are going to kick on as soon as it's connected to power, as opposed to running through an inverter, which is going to use more power and draw that from your battery bank. So it does save you more power when running the fridge.
So we've discussed using this fridge on a 12 or 24 volt system, but what if you're on a 48 volt system, or you'd like to use this on a grid-tied home?
So this refrigerator here, although it can be connected to 12 or 24 volt DC, it does come with a plug on it. So you can go directly through an inverter for a 48 volt system and not have to worry about having a step down inverter. Usually on a 48 volt system, if you're going to be living there, the inverter is going to be on most of the time anyways, because you're going to have your lights, other appliances on it. So it may make sense to just go directly through the inverter using this refrigerator. There's that, and like I just mentioned, there is also the option of a step down. With that being said, it's the same as being on grid. You can take this and plug it into any sort of outlet. The refrigerator is automatically going to start up and run, as long as you have your dial selected to the preferred temperature.
Wow, so there really is an option for everybody. That's amazing. So we are now going to open up this fridge and take a look inside.
Yeah, absolutely. So inside of the fridge here, we'll see that we have two main shelves on the top and a main shelf on the bottom. On the bottom, we do have a little fruit compartment. Inside of that though, we actually have the product manual and a test sheet for when you're first installing or hooking up the appliance. You want to make sure it's working and functioning as it should.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also have some balloons in there as well too, so while you're setting it up, you let your kids play with those, or you can have some fun yourself.
Just what everyone wants when they order a fridge.
Yeah. We have some shelves on the door here as well, perfect for some drinks. This one down here, we have a little bit more length. I definitely know for a fact you'd be able to put a 1 liter milk carton in there without any issue.
There's definitely lots of storage space.
Exactly. These shelves are adjustable as well, so if you need to even take the top shelf out, that is 100% possible.
Right.
Or you could lower it.
I can see that there are holes here to where each shelf can be lowered to.
Exactly.
Oh. And I see that there are screw holes here. Does that mean that this door is reversible?
Absolutely. Both doors are reversible. We have the screw holes up top here, so if you really do need to change the direction that the door opens, you don't have to worry about damaging the appliance. There's also an entire page in the manual dedicated to showing you how to do it correctly.
Perfect. That's extremely convenient because depending on the setup of your room, you might need to switch the way the door opens.
Exactly.
Perfect. So is a 12 volt battery all that's needed to hook this fridge up?
Although a 12 volt battery would work for a short period of time, it's not what's recommended to run the fridge. SunStar and the Cabin Depot would recommend using two 6 volt GC2 batteries.
Why is that?
Main reason is 12 volt batteries aren't going to last that long, life-wise, if you're using it to run a fridge like this. The cycle life on 12 volt batteries are much lower than 6 volt batteries. Plus, they might not be rated for the amperage being taken out of them. especially if you're to plug in the fridge right away or just hook it to the battery. For the first few hours, it's going to be pulling out quite a bit of amps right away.
Right, absolutely.
6-volt batteries have thicker plates, and that's what makes them last longer, and you get more years out of them.
But are there bigger models? What if I needed a bigger or a smaller size?
There are. So the next step up from this 10 cubic foot refrigerator would be SunStar's 16 cubic foot. Very similar to this refrigerator, it's a dual compressor, but of course you have a lot more space. They're both 4-inch insulation, so they hold temperature for very long periods of time. But same as this model, they are available in color options.
Cool.
So there's white, there will be black, there will be stainless steel black.
Okay, so do I need an inverter and a charge controller to run this fridge?
So because you're going to have solar hooked up and you might be running DC, you would most likely need a charge controller. That's going to make sure your solar doesn't overcharge your battery bank. The inverter though might not be entirely needed. If you're going to be doing a 12 or 24 volt battery bank, depending if you're just running a fridge, maybe you just have a few other stuff like 12 volt lighting, there's no need for an inverter. You can just connect directly to the battery bank. If you might be doing a 48 volt system, it might just be easier to go through the inverter rather than have a step down that you're running through, but that is completely up to the customer.
Right, interesting. Cool. So Kiefer, what would happen in the case of a power outage?
Well, why don't we see?
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and unplug the fridge. And let's see.
We'll see the light should be on the inside.
Oh my God, it's definitely still on. I guess it's now drawing power from the battery in the back.
Exactly. So as soon as it was unplugged there, it automatically switched over and started pulling from DC, which is what would happen on 12 or 24 volt.
All right, so I'm gonna plug this back into the AC and we're gonna see how many watts it's pulling. I'm seeing 57.2 watts on the screen.
54.
Now down to 53.
Yeah. So that would only be one compressor running at the moment, and I think that's the compressor in the freezer. So the reason why it's saying 53 watts right now is because one of the compressors are running in the fridge. We were struggling to get the compressor to run because of the insulation, so I had to turn down the dial in the freezer just to make it a little bit colder, heard the compressor turn on, and now you can actually see the amount of power that it's using. So they don't pull that the entire time. Because of the insulation, it's probably only going to pull that once the fridge is opened or you put some groceries in the fridge.
Yeah, that's not even that much.
Typically what you would see on an AC refrigerator is that number being anywhere between 90 to 200 watts.
Oh wow, and that's definitely a lot lower than that. All right, Kiefer, thank you very much for answering my questions here today and for clearing up the benefits between DC fridges and AC fridges. You've definitely convinced me that SunStar solar fridges are the way to go. So I'm just wondering, where can I go see these fridges?
Yeah, so we have in-store locations in both New Brunswick, Canada and Newfoundland, Canada, hopefully some locations here soon. But you can go directly on our website and purchase from there. There's thecabindepot.com if you're in the US and thecabindepot.ca if you're in Canada.